Hi there everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how to make this head wrap. The aim of making this head wrap is so you've got something constructed to make while I show you how to join your granny squares. There are a few different methods. You can sew your granny squares together or you can crochet them together. It depends on you and it depends on what you're looking for, because some joins are lacy and they're not close together. Some are close together like this. It just depends. So I'm going to show you a few of those joins. So the main aim of this project is to show you how to join your granny squares. And in the process we're just making a head wrap which you put on like this, and then you just tie it to the back with this chain that you made. And it's actually turned out really well. It's just a quick, simple little project that you can make. And yeah, so that's basically what this video is all about. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, so this is what our little granny square headband looks like. And I'm going to show you how to make this. I'm not going to show you how to make the granny square because I do have a video on that, but I'm going to show you how to put it together. And the ways that I show you how to join your granny square, you can choose whichever one you like to join yours with. And yeah, that's what I'm going to show you. So let's get started. Right, so to start this project, what I used was the Caron Simply Soft yarn, and it's really 100% acrylic. That's all, and it's a 4 medium. So that's what I'm using, and I'm using a size 5mm crochet hook, or it's an H. So it's not too important how the yarn that you use, but you do want to have it the correct size. So if you're going to go a lot bigger than what I have with a bigger yarn, and that you won't need as many granny squares as what I have. What you can do is just measure around your head with a measuring tape and see how long you actually need it. And that's really what I did with this one, and that's how I got to the correct size. So if that's what you're wanting to do with a bigger yarn and hook, then go ahead and measure your head and see how long you need yours. So what I've done is I've made one large granny square. When I say large, it's actually they're very small, but your head isn't that large, so you can't have them too big. I did the one granny square, and I'm not going to actually do the granny square with you because I do have a video up on showing you how to make a granny square. So if you're not sure how to make a granny square, then you can watch that. But in this video I'm really wanting to show you how to join your granny squares in different ways, either crocheting them together or sewing them together. So that's the whole aim of this video, is the joining aspect. But I thought while I'm teaching you to join it, we might as well create something at the same time. So what you're going to need is one of these, and this has just got the very first round, and then it's got 2 more rounds. So that's that one, and my one measures, let's go with inches. Mine's, gosh, just on 3 inches. Yeah, it's just on 3 inches wide for this first one. So if you're going with the larger hook and that, you might only get 1 row, but then yours might end up being a bit too big. But anyway, then you want one large one, and then I've made 4 of these smaller ones. Now these smaller ones are just your beginning round with one round around. So that's all that these are. So this one's 1 round with 2. This is the beginning round with 1. And you want 4 of these, because I'm going to have that one with 2 on each side. Okay, so you need 4 of these, 1 of these, and then I've made just the middle part, so really just your beginning part. You want to make 4 of these. I've actually sewn this one together. But so you make 4 of these little ones, and that's what you need to know to begin. And on your leaf for this last one, what you do is, all that you're going to do is, like here, this one is done, just slip stitch all the way to the middle. So you just want to slip stitch to the middle of this one, and then you're going to crochet a long chain. Now I don't know how long you need yours to be, but this is what you're going to use to tie your head wrap, your headband, whatever you want to call it. That's what you're going to tie it with at the back of your head, just with this. And you want it to be thin. If it's too thick, it's hard for it to tie. So that's why just on one of them, so you make it 4 of these, and then on the end one, just as I say, slip stitch to the middle and just make a long chain. And that's what you're going to need. And then I'm going to show you how we're going to sew them together. So 1 large, 1 with 2 rounds, 4 of these just the beginning round, and 4 of these with the middle, and 1 round after that. And then we halve them, 2 with 2 of these, 2 with 2 of these, and that's going to be our headband. But as I say, I'm really showing you how we're going to join them, but I thought we'd do a project at the same time. So yeah, let's get started. Right, so joining our granny square. Wow, there are a lot of different ways that you can join your granny square. I'm going to show you the real basic ones, because it gets pretty advanced in the sense that you can take granny squares, and once you lay them out, you can join them continuously all in one go. For example, you would come this way, come down, come here, come here, if they all have the same color border, or if they have different ones, and then you'd come up and go. It's a whole little continuous method that you would use, but I'm not going to be showing you that one on this one. That's a little bit it's got a lot to it. So I want to just show you your basics of how you actually join your granny square. I will be showing you some crocheting them together, sewing them, and kind of what is the best for your project. Now basically when you're joining, it's going to be up to you as to what you believe is the right thing for your project, the look that you like, because you're getting different looks when you do it. This granny square hat I just sewed together. I do have a video up for it, and this is what I just sewed together, and you get a nice clean look. Nothing fancy, nothing different, and just a good old sewn granny square. With this one I am doing it that I'm crocheting it to one another as I go along, and this isn't hard, but you have to just know what you're doing. You just got to stay focused as you join it, because you're going from this side to the other side. So if I was putting one on, you're going from this side to this side, and this side to this side, this side to this side. And so this one's a little bit more advanced, and I didn't want to sew it. Now you can sew it, you can come in. It makes it a little harder to sew because you're having to get them exactly right, whereas when you're crocheting it goes quickly. This just takes a lot, the sewing, it takes it a bit longer, whereas when you're crocheting it's quick. The negative with crocheting it together, if you need to undo it, you actually have a real problem. So you find, oh gosh, I put this one upside down. You're not going to be able to just go ahead and unpick it. It's a huge job. So you want to be pretty accurate in what you're doing here. But whereas when you sew it, if you leave your little thread out after you've sewn it, it's possible to undo it a little bit easier. But anyway, you don't want to undo it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and show you the very first part that I want to show you is how we sew them together. So let's get started with that. Alright, so sewing them together. Now, I left my yarn on. Some people say you shouldn't do it, you should sew it in and get a new piece of yarn, but I don't. The less sewing I have to do, the better. So I just take the piece that I had. Now if you find that your yarn, which I think mine was, is in the middle of your work, just go through the back and slip stitch, just bring your yarn through to the place where you want it to be. So this one I did, and I brought it to the square over here. Now all that you're going to do is you're going to be working with your wrong side. So this is my right side, so you flip them over, and these are the two wrong sides. Then put them together. Okay, so you got your two right sides facing each other. Now the two different ways is you can either go through, well, there's actually 3 ways I suppose. Just the back loops. Okay, now your very first one, you're going to you could just come with this and come to the same spot on this one, which is in the middle of those chains. Okay, so you just brought it across. Now you want to be aware of keeping them even, so I take the corners and I just hold them together like this. Now if it's very big, you can't. you'd have to hold it until you get to the corners, but just keep making sure that your work is equal, that you're not sewing it and you come to the end and find, oh my word, look what's happened now. So keep them together like that constantly. Now you can either go through both of these two and both of these two. Let me just find it. Okay, there's the other one. So you have 4 stitches here. That's one situation, one scenario, and all of them give you a slightly different look. So I'm showing you going through the 2 and going through the 2 on that side. So through these 2 and then through these 2. And it gives you a pretty close, you can't really see where you've sewn it. Okay, that's what that one looks like. I will do, and this is where I sewed it, so my stitch is a little bit off there. But all that you do is sew it that way. Take these 2 and these 2 and go under them. And when you get to your chains, you can try, you can't really go over those 2, so I just go over the 1 and the 1. Alright, so that's doing them all together, and you can't really see where you've sewn it. I don't usually do it that way. I prefer using one loop, but that one works. It's a really solid join. That's the wrong side, and then this is the right side, so you can't really see it. So that's one way of doing it. Now another way of doing it would be to go through just one of those loops. So let's see. Same thing, you take your 2 right sides and you put them together. So there's a right side and that's a right side, and put them together, and I just come through to this one. Alright, now you can either use just the top one, this one and this one, so it's the back loops of each, that one and that one. Or you can use the fronts, this one and this one. Whoops, yeah, that one and that one. This one and this one. And you'll get a different look. Let's use the front ones. There and there. And let's see what this looks like. And some people just use all 3 of them together at the same time. They just find something to sew and sew. It's whatever you like your work to look like. That's what counts. Okay, I've forgotten I was doing these ones. Okay, let's see what that one looks like. Pretty much the same. This one to me is a little bit neater than this one. You probably can't see too much of a difference. That's the, this was 2 together and this is the front one. So 2 together in the front one. Now to do the back ones. Okay, see, so now this is where my yarn is over here and I need it to come over here. So I'm just going to go through the back till it's in the middle there. Okay, and now my yarn is where I want it. So I'm just going to sew it onto, okay, I'll just sew it onto here. So right side's facing, and it's, this one obviously isn't going to work. I'll undo it. Let's just join these 2 together. Okay, so now if you just take the top one, that's the top and that's the top. That's the top and that's the top. So you're just taking these top loops, that one and this one. Let's do one more there. Alright, and that's what you get with this one. Now, this to me is the best one, just those top loops. This is where my beginning was, it's a bit hard to see. This one you did them all together, okay, and you can see there. This one, you've got a bit of a center there with the ridge over here and here. And that's the one that I tend to do. It's just using your top 2 loops. So for example, this one and that one, it's those top two. And then the bottom two, this and this, is what gave me this look, which is also fine. I mean, there is no right and there is no wrong. It's what you prefer. Me personally, I tend to prefer this one, but it doesn't matter. Your work is joined. It doesn't really matter. Your work is joined, and is which you prefer. See, this one was both loops together. This is the one that I prefer, just those top two loops. And then this is the back two loops. So, you know, it's what you prefer, and what works for you the best is what you're going to do. And that's what it looks like on the other side. They all look great. There's no major difference. See, this is where we did the back loops. This one was with the back loops. That's what it looks like there, and this is what it looks like here. And really, this is all you're doing is reversing it on this side. See there? Now it's over here. So that's how you do it when you're sewing it. Alright, so I thought I'd show you the joining in a different color with the white, because then you'll be able to see my stitches a little bit easier. Now I thread my yarn, and I make a knot at the end of my work, end of my yarn. So I just make a knot. You don't have to. If you don't make a knot, you'd have to somehow get it to stay. And some people make a stitch and they make another stitch over that. But you know what? It's just easier to make a knot, and then I know it's not going anywhere. And I'm going to come into the middle of the one corner with my yarn. Now, if it's going to show up, I know it's not, because it's going to have another granny square over here, so that knot's not going to show up. But if it does show up, you need to do it further down so you can't see it. But either way, I mean, like I say, if you don't make a knot, some people they pull it through and then they go through the same spot again, so you have 2 stitches instead of the 1. But anyway, so now I'm going to show you, you're always putting the right sides together. I'm just going to go into the corner of this one. This is where I did the 3 chains so that it's in the same spot. Alright, so now all that I'm going to do is go through, there are 3 different ones. You either go through both of them, both your stitches. Now this one's a little bit off. Your first one's a little tricky because you joined it. So you can go through both stitches like that. And I'll show you again. And just bring your yarn through. Okay, see these 2 and then these 2, and then you bring your yarn through these 2, that one and that one, and you bring it through. So it's the whole stitch that you're really going through. 2 there and 2 there, and the same thing here. See, if you look at your stitch there, that's your stitch, so you're going through both of them. And then the same one here, that's my whole stitch. Okay, and you go through them like that, and that's all that you can do. And then that's the look that you would get. So now you've seen it in the purple, that's what it looks like in the white. And you can, I mean, it's actually, you can do something, so people do sew the granny squares together in a different color, it just gives it a different look. Now if you're just going to sew your the one loop, once again join them together like that, and this is what I mean by people doing 2 sets of, you come in here, and I haven't got a knot on this one, they do that, and then you come in again through the same spot and do this, and that tightens it so it's not actually going anywhere. So much the same idea. But let me just get up to where I need to be, over there and over there, bring it through to here. Alright, so with this one, let's take the front 2, this one and this one. Okay, it's just those front ones, this one and this one. So out of the 2, it's this one, the front one, and out of these 2, it's the front one. Okay, and let's see what this one looks like in a different color. there and there. Okay, and that's what it looks like for that one. See, as you can see, there's not a major difference. This one, if you are leaving it, you'd probably want to do this one because it's a little better. You can see it more clearly than here. This is just a better look. That's me personally. But once again, it's totally up to you as to how you want to do yours. Okay, so that's the two together. That's the back two. And now let's do the front two. And let's see what we'll get here. Just make a knot. Now we'll just do these two here. Two front, two right sides together. Two right sides together. Okay, so this one is just your back loop. So that's the back one and that's the back one. There's the back and there's the back. So out of the two, you take in that back one. Out of these two, you take in the back one. Okay, and this is the one that I have a preference towards this one. Sorry, I'm a bit off there. Alright, let's see. So this one looks like that. Now, you can see it has a bit of a ridge over here, and then you've got your sewing and then a bit of a ridge. This is the one, as I said, I like. But it doesn't make any of them wrong. It's what you prefer. So that's what it looks like in the different colors. That was the two together. This is your front two and this is your back two. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead now and show you how to, if we crochet them, what look we get. Alright, so when you're joining them together, once again you're going to get different looks holding a different way. So for example, if you're doing it with your right sides together, you'll get a different look versus doing it with the wrong sides together. So I'll show you what that looks like. Now, to get your yarn started, I'm going to do it with the right sides facing now. There are different ways. You can start with a slip knot, which is probably your best, or you can just go in your corner and bring up a loop like that with your yarn like that. That is one way. It's probably not the most secure, but you can put your yarn behind here and try and capture it as you work. Just keep going under it. Make sure that that's above it. And then you'd work like that. But probably the better way is to make a slip knot. I'll be honest, I vary as to how I do mine. It just depends. But anyway, there's a slip knot and then you can just bring your yarn through. Now I'm just going into both loops here. And I've got my work with the right sides facing. And I'm just going to slip stitch it through. So that is a better, secure start for your work. So anyway, same thing here. Now you can go through both of these. So for example, you can go through those two like we sewed, and through these two. Okay, through those two. Now you can either do a slip knot, or you can do not a slip knot, a slip stitch, or you can do a single crochet. So we're just going to do a slip stitch right through there. Okay, and then through the next stitches too, there two, and there are two. Now this is a little bit tricky because I have that's where my join was, where I started my granny square. But just the best you can through those two and through these two. Okay, so now I've gone through those two, and I'm just slip stitching across. Okay, go through these two and through these two, and slip stitch through. And this is the look that you're going to get. Now, it's probably, if you did it the other way, you'd get it to look like this, like it was our sewing. And this is what it would look like on your right side. So, you know, it depends on what look you want. When it's the same color, you don't see it as much. But it's always better to work the other way around with your right sides together. And that's the look that you would get. Now, you can do the same thing in single crochet. So I'm going to just take my yarn here. But I'm going to work this one now the other way. I'm going to work it with our wrong sides facing us. So put your two right sides together. See, and I didn't do, this is now what you also do with the slip stitch. I'm just doing it this way now. Okay, and you're going to go into your corners again, and I'm going to do a single crochet. Okay, so we're doing the same thing through both loops, but we're going to do a single crochet. So through 2 loops there, just find my 2 loops there, and 2 loops. Just going to make sure I've got the right one over there. Okay, and you're going to do single crochet. Bring your yarn through and bring your yarn through. Okay, this is that awkward little spot through there, yarn through and yarn through. And we'll see what look we get now. Through 2 and through 2. Through 2 and through 2. Alright, now this is the wrong side, but if you did it the other way, this is what you would look. If these were your right sides, that's what you would have there, and this is what it looks like on the right side. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. Whichever way you work on, you're going to get the 2 opposite results. So because I worked with my wrong sides together, that's the look that I get on the wrong side, and that's the look I get on my right side. But if I did it the other way, where I worked with my right sides together, I would have this on the right side and that on the other. So they're just opposite. So that's what it would look like if you joined it with a single crochet through both, and that's through both loops. Okay, this will be the single crochet. Okay, so just through, let's do the top loop, that one and this one. So those 2, the back loops, and I'm doing, what did I say, single crochet, and that's single crochet. Okay, so it's this one, this first one, and this one. So out of the 2, it's that back one. Okay, and a single crochet. Okay, so this very first one here, and that back one there. So it's the 2 back ones of your stitch really. Okay, let's see what we get there. This is our right side. Alright, so if you had a different color, you would have it looking like that. You wouldn't see that. That's what it would look like, which is actually quite nice. And this is what it would look like if you had it on the other side, if you did it the other way. You'd have a bit of a ridge here. It's not a big ridge, but it is still a ridge. And if you did it with a slip stitch, you wouldn't have a ridge. It would just look like that. So, you know, those are the different ways that you can crochet them together. Let me show you a slip stitch here. And if you use the other, okay, there's the back and the back. Well, this was the one that's a little bit off there. And just slip stitch. This is what you'd get with your slip stitch. I would encourage you to go and practice this and see what you like. It's kind of hard to decide with what I've done as to what you prefer. There's a slip stitch. Okay, so those 2 with a slip stitch, you can see it's lying flatter here. That gives you a ridge. And then on the inside it's pretty much the same. It's just a little bit tighter in there versus your single crochet. So your slip stitch would bring it in more, you wouldn't see it. And that's with the 2 back ones. If you did the front one, it's going to give you a different look. Let's try the front ones. Like I say, I prefer using the top 2, these the 2 back ones, so that you have the front one left. But everybody's different. So now if we use the front loop, this one and this one, let's just do it with a slip stitch first. That's there. There's the front and slip stitch through, front one and the front one, and we just slip stitch through. That's what it will look like on the wrong side, and that's what it looks like on the right side. You can hardly see it. So, and then the same thing if you did it with your single crochet. You would go with the front one and that front one out of the 2, and single crochet, and then there's the front one. Usually with the single crochet you get a bit of a ridge, whereas with that slip stitch you don't. And that's what it looks like on the other side, much the same. There are different ways. Those are your real basic ones, and they just simply, instead of sewing it together, you are crocheting it together, and you're getting much the same look as the sewing, except you're using your hook. And now I'm going to just show you one or two ways to do it where it has a bit of a crochet look to it. So I'm going to show you that now. Alright, so now for this one that's going to look a little bit lacy, what you do is you start with your slip knot and go into, we've got our right sides facing us. So I'm going to go into the one corner, and I'm just going to bring up a single crochet. Okay, so you got your first one there. Then you're going to chain 3. And then we're going to come into the opposite motif. Now you need to have your yarn to the right of your hook, and you're going to come underneath, and you're going in the same corner. Okay, so your yarn to the right and come underneath your work, and then bring up a loop and go through. So you do a single crochet there, and that's your first join. Then you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to, this is where you're working from this side to that side, this side, this side. You are alternating. So now I've got to come back here. So we're going to skip one stitch, and we're going to go into the next one with a single crochet. And then we're going to chain 3, and then remember we've got to come back to this motif. So you're going to skip one, and you're going to come back to this one, and you come underneath your work. So you skip one and you come underneath with a single crochet, and then you're going to chain 3, and then we're going to come back to our first motif. Skip one, go into the next stitch with a single crochet, and then you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do the same thing with the opposite one. You're going to skip a stitch, which is there, and you're going to come into this one with a single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip one and come into this one, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip one and come into your next one, which should actually be in here. And there you have it. You have your motifs joined with a lacy stitch. So that's just one other way. So that's another way that you can join them. Just gives it a bit of a variation. And I'm going to show you a few more ways, so let's keep going. Alright, so another way of joining them is either your right sides together or your wrong sides together, whichever one you prefer. Once again, it's the style that you like, and I'm going to do mine with the wrong sides facing, the right sides facing me, wrong sides together. And you're just going to go into my corner and my corner. Alright, both corners, and do a single crochet, and then you're going to chain 2, and then you're going to skip 2 stitches. So that's 1, 2, this is 1, 2, and I'm going to go into this one, and the same on this side. I'll skip 1, 2 and go into the third one and do a single crochet, and then chain 2. And you're going to do this the whole way. Skip 2, there's 1, 2, go into the next one, skip 2 here, 1, 2, go into my next one, single crochet and chain 2, skip 2. Now because I'm right at the end, I'm just going to go into my corners and do a single crochet, and you would just keep doing that the whole way. Skip 2, single crochet, chain 2, skip 2, single crochet, chain 2, and this is the look that you get. It's a bit of a ridge over here, but that's what you would get, and this is what it would look like if you did it the other way around. Whichever way you preferred, you'd get a look like that. Alright, so I'm going to show you one more, and we're going to be doing this one with our right sides facing this way. Now you're going to join in your yarn in the one corner, slip stitch through, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3. So for this one we're going to be using double crochets. So chain 3 and then you're going to do a double crochet in the opposite corner, yarn over and then to the right. So you're getting ready for a double crochet, yarn over to the right and under. Let's see if I can show you any better. Yarn over, so you literally got to take it over like that and then come under. So it will look like this. Go through 2, go through 2, and that's your double crochet. Your first chain 3 strands is a double crochet, and then we're not going to do any chains in between. You're going to skip 1 stitch and you're going to go into the next one of your first motive. Okay, and you're going to get rid of your double crochet on the opposite side. Same thing, you're going to skip 1. So there's 1, and I'm going to go into my next, and I'm going into both stitches. Okay, then we're going to come back to this first one, skip 1, go into the next. And then we're going to go back into this first one, the second one we had, skip 1, go into the next. And that's all you do for this join. Skip 1, go into this one. Skip 1 on the opposite, go into that one. And I'm just going to do one in my last one. Go into your space with a double crochet and 1 into this last one over here. So you're going from the one motif to the other, just doing double crochets. And I like this look. That's one of my favorite. Just gives you, with a single crochet you didn't have as much space between here, but you've also got your ridge here. Now this is with them right side facing. If you wanted to do it the other way, that's what you would get if you did it without the ridge. If you did it with your wrong sides facing, this is the look you would get, which is also very nice. So those are a few joins that you can use, and yeah, there are still a lot others you can do. Try and experiment and try and do some for yourself as well. There is no limit to the joins. You can do whichever. Alright, so now that I've shown you a bunch of different ways that you can join your granny squares together, choose a way that you want to join your headband together. I'm going to have to sew mine because I've made more of these than what a lacy join can be. It will be too big for me. I mean, I could, if I took these out and just joined it like this, I could do a lacy join, but I'm not going to. I'm going to sew mine together for this specific project. So whichever you prefer to do, that you can do. So I'm going to sew mine together and then I'm going to join you again. Now, just a little tip, when you're joining these together, remember you want these to be in the center of that one. These two can be together. That must be in the center, and then this one needs to be in the center of this one. So don't forget to do that, because otherwise they're going to be off-sided and lopsided. Unless, of course, you want yours to look like this, which is also a possibility. I mean, abstract, here we come. But anyway, so if you're wanting it to be straight, just put these centered, not that one, and then this one in the center. Alright, so now that you've sewn them all together, it should look like this. And then you just put it over your head and tie this together, and there you have a granny square headband, which you have obviously chosen whichever way you want to sew yours together. You can see which way I did. I used my top 2 loops and got that little design over there. So yes, that's how you join your granny squares in a few variations. And I'm so glad that you've joined me for this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Thanks so much. Bye.